to edit this out.
I'm gonna leave it in. Make sure we're focused. Talk to me like Maeve. You ready?
Yeah.
Do you feel weird?
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. This is my husband Eric.
Howdy.
And we're going to do a Q&A. So I asked some questions, or posted an Instagram story that just had you guys ask us some questions just about like our relationship, our life, all of that stuff. So we're just going to answer those.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the first question is, how did you meet, and was it love at first sight?
Nope. So, for those who don't know us, which I feel like a majority of people who follow your channel know us pretty well, we met pretty serendipitously on a camping trip to Red River Gorge out in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. We actually went back there for our 3rd anniversary, just a weekend getaway. It was phenomenal. But yeah, got invited from mutual friends at church, and both of us just happened to be single at the time and looking to really kind of get out and just appreciate friends within the church, and just to get to appreciate God's creation. And at least for me, that was my first camping trip. So when my buddy asked me to go, I was like, heck yeah, sign me up. Didn't have any gear whatsoever.
Rented it all from the Marshall Rec Center.
Rented it all from the Marshall Rec Center, and yeah, that's where we met. And we were kind of like the 5th and 6th wheel of our party. True. At the time. We got invited. The mutual friends of ours were, I think, engaged at the time, right?
2 of them were engaged, and 2 of them were just dating.
Yeah, 2 were engaged, 2 were dating. So there was just Allie and I. So we kind of, and then three dogs, obviously, 1 per couple. So I was like, well, hey, everyone else has got 4 hands on each dog. Might as well give her some help. And we just kind of hung out on the trip, chatted a little bit, had a good time. Love at first sight? No. We just had a good time. Like, we genuinely...
It was very platonic.
Yeah, we genuinely just became friends on the trip. We laughed together, just had a great time, like chit-chatting about stuff back here in Huntington, and about just kind of getting to know each other a little bit.
So when we first met, we just genuinely had like a good friendship, I think.
Yeah. And
then things just kind of picked up.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty quickly. I mean, things didn't stay platonic for long.
No.
But how could you have faith? He fell in love with Benji, that's what it was.
Yeah, he's a good pupper. Yeah. Come here, buddy.
Yes. Okay, what is your favorite memory together before having kids?
My favorite memory, hands down, and forever will probably be one of my favorite memories, is our wedding. It was a perfect day.
It was a pretty spectacular day.
Perfect all around. Like, every aspect of a wedding that you'd want to go well went extremely well. The ceremony was beautiful. The sermon was fantastic. The intricacies of the wedding was amazing.
Yeah, I still have people tell us about how fun our wedding was.
I think the best thing about our wedding, too, is we, 3 years from getting married, are still finding out things that happened at our wedding that we just weren't aware about.
We didn't even know about.
Yeah, so I think it was a special day for a lot of people, getting together for what the wedding represented, not only just, to have Christ at the center of our marriage, and kind of be able to fall back on that and the words from that day and the vows from that day to serve as a reminder for us on a daily basis, or when things get rough. But just getting to celebrate with friends and family.
People we haven't seen in a while. And how well, everybody meshed that night. Yeah, I always tell people, too, your wedding is such a unique mixture of people from, all of these different moments in your life, all, together in one room. So it's a pretty unique situation that we'll probably never experience again, but I mean, it was hands down top 2 best days of my life. Other one, of course, being the day that we gave birth. I gave birth to our son.
You gave birth. You did all the work, girl.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a really great day. So that's your favorite.
That's my favorite. Yeah. What's yours?
I remember when we first met, I had told him about Fayetteville and how much I loved it, and he had never been. And so one day I just showed up at his house in full hiking gear with my camera in my backpack, and I was like, come on, get dressed, we're going somewhere. He had no idea where we were going. It was a blast. blast. We had such a great day, and then since then, like, we've gone several times, and so I think, like, I always think that those memories of, like, just spontaneously on a Saturday saying, hey, you want to go to Fayetteville and go hiking? Those are some of my favorite memories before having kids.
Yeah.
And after having Sam, but
yeah. Well,
before it was just kind of different because you didn't have to take all the stuff. And it was a little bit more spontaneous then. So.
And I think if you remember too, one of the funniest parts from that memory was at the time, Allie was driving this little stick shift, like 2-seater Fiat. I mean, technically it had a back seat.
I forgot about this.
And that's what she picked me up in. And we're, you know, if you've never been to Fayetteville, it's very representative of the beauty of West Virginia.
It's very rural.
Very rural. And, you know, to get out to some of these hiking trails, you're kind of driving off-road a little bit. And she's in this little standard low to the ground Fiat. And I'll never forget when we went to leave, we had to get some guys who had just come down from their hike help us push the vehicle out of a muddle.
It had snow.
It had snowed, but it was like muddy and snowy and sloshy, and we had to get these guys to help us push the car out. Which honestly, I probably could have done it by myself if it gives you any idea of how small the car is. But we got them to help us push the car out, which I thought was hysterical.
Also very representative of my personality. Because Eric was like, "I don't think you should park here," and I was like, "It'll be fine." Yeah. You know? It's no big deal.
I'm a prepper and a forward thinker,
and I
was very in the moment. Yeah. So.
That's okay. We even each other out.
Yeah. Complimentarian.
That's right. Wedding tips and advice to make the day less stressful.
Hire Lisa Sargent.
That's a true statement. So sorry that the video keeps going in and out of focus. My bad. So for my wedding, or our wedding.
Nope.
For our wedding. I was very, like, chill about the whole thing, I think. Like, I think from the beginning I wasn't that stressed out. I just wanted to marry him. I cared what the day was like, but to be honest with you, like, the only thing I really asked for was who our photographer was. I wanted quality photos because I knew that they'd be something that lasted forever.
Yeah, and so, ended up going up in every room in our house.
So that was really the only thing that I asked for was our photographer, and other than that, like, we didn't really care. Like, for example, we really wanted to get married at Stonewall Jackson in West Virginia, and it wasn't available, and it was just kind of like, oh, it's a bummer, whatever. Okay, we'll find somewhere else. You know what I mean? And we found somewhere. It was easy. My mom was, like, amazing. She basically did everything. She did the flowers, the arrangements, all of that. And then one thing I will suggest, we hired a coordinator, I guess, for, like, the day, but she just kind of helped, like, keep things rolling. She, like, was the one who sent us down the aisle, that sort of thing. She was helpful too, I think. To be honest with you, I think, like, my biggest tip is just don't stress out too much about it.
You said it best early on. We just both wanted to get married that day. Like, that was the day we were looking forward to ever since we got engaged, and actually ever since I knew I wanted to marry Allie. So. Having that in the back of my mind, it felt like nothing, could happen that day. It could have poured rain and been like whatever. Now, I will say being prepared helps. Make the day run smooth,
Like, we had a plan B if it were to rain. We knew what we were going to do.
We did a lot of the legwork early on to make sure everything was solidified, booked, planned, things like that. So I think over-preparation's underrated. So we were definitely over-prepared for the day. That way we could, when the day comes, just enjoy it and relax.
One thing that I would suggest is a lot of times, because your wedding day is for you and the person that you're getting married to, but it's also for your family. I think one of the best things that we could have done was hired someone to coordinate the day, because my mom, even though she, like, ran around with the chicken with her head cut off, like, the whole year before we got married, that day she was able to just like relax, and she hung out with me and my bridesmaids upstairs in the room, and she got ready with us, and I have some really sweet, like, pictures of me and my mom. I'm gonna cry. I'm emotional. There were just really sweet pictures of me and my mom together upstairs getting ready. I just think, don't stress about it. Just make it special. Just realize that at the end of the day, no matter what goes wrong, you're still gonna be married. So that's probably my advice. Next question. What's your favorite Starbucks drink? Pumpkin 5 lattes. Mimosas. To be honest with you, I don't think either of us really go to Starbucks that often.
I'm not a big coffee drinker. I just drink it when I have to.
Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I do love going to Starbucks, but it's definitely like a treat.
I haven't been to Starbucks in like, I don't know.
It's been a while. We don't, it's a treat for us, yeah. We don't go very often. And when I drink coffee, typically my coffee choice is black coffee.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna go to Starbucks, I'm gonna get something good. I'm not a big pumpkin girl, but I do like the pumpkin cold brews that they come out with. Those are good.
I don't know. I just get whatever she gets.
Yeah, I just order him something sweet.
Yeah.
Because he's not much of a coffee drinker.
No.
He will drink black coffee at home.
Yeah, I mean, I'll drink black coffee occasionally when I feel like I need it, but
yeah,
usually on long shifts.
Yeah, or an energy drink.
Yeah.
Nice Monster really does a man good.
Gives me little palpitations.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite podcasts?
You go first.
Okay.
I'll go first because mine's really short. So I don't listen to podcasts at all.
He's a little busy.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to listen to a podcast.
Podcast?
Yeah, podcast. It's about fishing. If you're going to listen to a podcast, I highly recommend a good friend of mine, Dave Traub, has a podcast called The Dad Pod. So any of you male listeners out there, or female listeners.
I'll leave their Instagram down below.
Yeah.
So you can
check it out.
I do listen to podcasts. I listen to lots of different types of podcasts. I can't think of them off the top of my head. Let me look at them. So right off the bat, my guilty pleasure in life is most definitely the Bachelor franchise. I love The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise. I mean, you name it, I've watched it. I love it. It's like the only reality TV I watch, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I do listen to like a couple of Bachelor podcasts. Like I know Blake Horstman has one, Behind the Rose, and then Rachel Lindsay and Becca Kufrin have Bachelor Happy Hour, I think. Nick Viall has the Viall Files. So I do listen to that, but I skip the episodes that aren't about The Bachelor, and I just listen to the ones that are about The Bachelor. Because I got to get all the juicy like details, you know? Especially about like the producers and stuff. That's the really interesting part.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree.
He likes it too. He always wants to watch with me.
Nah. When she puts it on TV, I'll watch it.
I love Jenny Allen. She does the Made for This podcast. I like her. Relatable by Allie Beth Stuckey. I used to listen to the Real Life podcast with Jess and Alyssa. I think it's Bethke.
Yeah, I think
We did like
their 31-day challenge.
Yeah, we did like a 31-day challenge when we were engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Gold Digger, I really like her podcast. It's Jenna Kutcher. She is like a multi-millionaire businesswoman who started as like a photographer, and now she's just like grown her business and her brand, and so I like to listen to her stuff about, I don't know, be a better businesswoman, I guess. As for Me and My House by Melena and Jordan Ciciotti. The Health Code, Sarah's Day, she's on YouTube, I watch her a lot. Her and her fiance have a podcast about like health and fitness and healthy lifestyle. Nonstop Mom, that one was just recently recommended to me, and I actually really like that one too, so. Yeah, I don't know. Lots of different types of podcasts. So, okay. Do you get annoyed with Eric making messes and vice versa? Yes. Yes, I do.
Next question.
Eric he's a pretty clean person for the most part.
Yeah, I feel like my cleanliness is above average for a male.
Yes. I think I am a little bit OCD. Like, I'm very particular.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, you like things in certain places, and like for me, I'm one of those types of guys, like I like to keep a room relatively clean. I mean, and I did this before, like I was even met Allie and like single forever, just like it's just built into my personality. I like a little bit of structure in my life, so keeping rooms in the house clean, things like that. But like for me, I'm one of those guys that like my shoes come off and I put them down like in a certain place, because I know like the next morning I'll be walking right past, so I'll just slip them right on and I'm good to go out the door. Whereas Allie like likes them over in a basket somewhere else, like, you know, which is really hard to find at 5:30 in the morning when you're getting ready for work.
Okay, but let me just say this, okay? There's a difference between, like, there needs to be compromise here. Because he likes to leave his shoes in the middle of the bedroom so that I trip over them when I go to bed.
That's true.
But I could be a little bit more chill and let him put them in his closet, okay? I just don't understand why guys take their shoes off, like, a foot from the closet. Like, it's right there. Just put them away.
But why? I'm going to be getting them on tomorrow. Like, that's the whole point.
Tidiness.
I know.
So yes, we do. And there are probably things that I do that frustrate you too. Like cleanliness. I'm pretty clean.
Yeah, you're already like super clean. The bathroom sink. No. Like, I get 1% of space in the bathroom sink.
Well,
like that's it. We have a very small bathroom and a very small sink, but like
very small sink. What are your baby sleep training tips?
So I mean, as far as baby sleep training tips. Yeah, Allie did a lot of research before Samuel was born. Looked at you. I mean, I'll let you talk more about it here, but the name of the program, it's run by some woman whose husband's a pediatrician.
Yeah,
right. Husband's a pediatrician, so a lot of it's like AAP or American Academy of Pediatric guideline specific. Very
safe sleep.
Yeah, very
guidelines.
Appropriate and healthy ways to schedule your baby's sleep times and feeds and things like that. So I mean, at least from that perspective, like watching her do the research with that program, set it up. We sat down together and like she made a list and everything. We went over it together and basically, corresponded with a lot of stuff that I was already starting to learn in training as well. I mean, at least from a pediatrician standpoint, like the emphasis that I could make on these types of things that we did for Samuel was obviously like not co-sleeping with him, which is when you actually have the infant in the bed with you, that increases the risk of SIDS, which is actually a really scary but still present phenomenon we have, which is sudden infant death syndrome. A lot of times co-sleeping, I'm restless in bed, she's restless in bed, you can end up rolling over on your infant, and it's just a really tragic situation. I've seen it in the hospital already in my training, and it's just not something
not a joke. It really
it's
happens.
Not a joke. Yeah, it's something that people think, oh, it's not going to happen to me, and then it happens to them, and they don't even know what to say. So
and sometimes it's not anybody's fault.
It's not. It's just
But there are things that you can do to help prevent it.
Yeah, there's things that help prevent it, and I think it's why when I'm on newborn nursery rotation right now, and we encourage all of our new moms to kind of follow these guidelines. So of course, no co-sleeping. They can sleep in a bassinet or a crib. They make sure that they're always sleeping isolated, nothing else in the crib like stuffed animals, heavy blankets. The mattress is relatively firm, not super soft. All of this is to avoid, your infant from, essentially suffocating themselves.
They're supposed to sleep on their back.
Sleeping them on their back is extremely important. They've done studies as far as the anatomy, actually. They've gone down to like the specifics and the way that the feeding tube, the esophagus, and the breathing tube, your trachea, the way they're positioned in an infant, slightly different than an adult is. So when an infant is sleeping on their stomach, or in prone position we call it, if they were to regurgitate milk, which infants do a lot, that literally can kind of almost pour down into their breathing tube, because where it sits when they're that young, it's kind of like right there below it in that position when they're prone. So it kind of avoids things like that. Plus, infants in the first 2 months of life don't have the best head control, so a lot of times they could just get face down into a mattress and can't fix it, especially in the middle of sleep. So pediatrician's perspective, that's my recommendations for sleep. But as far as the scheduling and stuff, I'll let Allie take that away.
I was really interested. I like structure. And so I was really interested in having some sense or idea of a schedule before Sam got here. So I researched lots of different programs, and there's tons and tons out there that I'm sure work and are great. But I wanted to make sure that I found one that my husband was comfortable with as a pediatrician, that it followed safe sleep guidelines. I wanted to make sure that it was somewhat structured, but obviously all babies are different. So I wanted to be able to know that like if this structure wasn't met, that things were going to be okay, that sort of thing. So I found TakingCaraBabies on Instagram, and I started by just like watching all of her informational stories and things like that, and eventually I talked to Eric about purchasing her newborn class, and so we did that, and we read through it and took the newborn class before he was born and started implementing those strategies like in the hospital. And it was amazing. It was wonderful and helpful, and I don't want to like share too much about it because it is like a paid program, and I'm not sure how that would copyright or whatever. Probably like my biggest tip is to establish a nighttime routine very, very early on, because I mean, it was like by 6 weeks of age or 8 weeks of age, babies could start to recognize that routine. For Samuel, we take him upstairs, we put him in the bathtub, we put lotion on him, we put him in his PJs, we would swaddle him, and then we would lay him down, and I would rock him and feed him and then put him to bed. And so he started to recognize that, like, okay, when I take a bath, that means I'm going to bed. And he still to this day knows that. So he's a great sleeper. He slept through the night since he was like 5 weeks old or something. And before that, he was sleeping like 5-6 hour stretches. So he's been a great sleeper. I attribute a lot of the schedule that we did to that, but I also think it might just be that he's a good-mannered baby.
And to add to that, babies are different. Like everyone's child's different. I mean, as far as kind of
we could have another one and do the same thing, and it may not work at all.
Yeah, and he could just be, you know, like absolutely ridiculous and crying all night long. But I think the other thing that was neat about that program is it has different type of coaxing mechanisms to try to help calm the infant down at nighttime. Maybe come up with some ideas that if your infant isn't sleeping well or crying, things like that.
The tip was that they needed to learn to put themselves back to sleep when they woke up, because a lot of times a baby will wake up and cry, and you don't know what they want. So you change their diaper, you feed them, you lay them back down, they cry.
Yeah.
You get them back out, you cuddle them, you lay them back down, they cry. So that you give them coping mechanisms to be able to put themselves back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, they'll wake up and they will stir a little bit. Maybe they'll even cry.
Yeah.
But you know, you go in, you do these different coping mechanisms, and they're like acronyms, and so you do them, and if by the end they're still crying, you feed them. And so, because, I mean, when a baby's new, they do eat a lot. I mean, a lot, and a lot that goes into it. But if you're interested, I'll link Taking Care of Babies down below for you to check out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. How do you incorporate Christ into Sam's daily routine?
That's a great question.
Yeah, so this is honestly probably something I think we could do a better job of. When he got dedicated at church, we were given like a kid's storytime Bible. The stories are a little bit long still for him to like fully pay attention.
Yeah.
But we have read those to him. We talk about the Lord and through in our daily life, you know, just make it seem relevant. We like to pray before we eat, and we make sure that he's there and watching when we do those things.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know who submitted that, but excellent question. I think that's something like we talked about when we got married. That was the center focus of our marriage. You know, the center focus of our household. You know, not from a standpoint of, you know, people out there think it's some sort of like indoctrination or something, but I want our children to see how we live our lives as a representation of Christ.
Yeah.
And if they're interested in that, that's awesome. Praise the Lord. I mean, that's something that we hope all of our children pursue one day. And so for us to integrate that now at a young age for him, it's something that, I mean, he's almost 14 months now, so he's going to start understanding what we're doing and start kind of catching on. Of course, you know, 5-6 months when he's like, you know, just doing the casual eat, sleep, poop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like barely he's just starting to learn how to function like a human being. You know, it's really hard for them to pick up on things like that at that point in time. But I think at that point in time, and this is something we could have done a little bit better of, is recognizing that's something that we're going to want to have and start building those routines with him. And so then we're practiced in it. We always make sure we pray before dinner. Sammy
and lunch.
And well, you know, before all of our meals. And it's always cute because Sammy just doesn't wait. You know, he's
eating and we're praying, and he's just like, "What are y'all doing?"
Yeah, he's hands deep in his food. I think it's just incorporating a Bible study while we're at dinner. That's our one time. I really loved that Allie had this idea at dinner time. We've started this probably about 3 months ago. Phones off at the dinner table. I mean, we sit down, we make it dedicated family time. We slide our phones like to the completely other end of the table where we can't even reach them. And
we all eat dinner together.
And we eat dinner together, and it gives Allie and I an opportunity just to talk about our day. And Sammy gets to witness that, and implementing a Bible study during that time, you know, at least just reading one verse or passage of Scripture.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
No.
Just be an example, read your Bible in front of him, talk about Scripture in front of them. And I'm not preaching to anybody because we can definitely do a better job at this.
Oh, 100%.
But I just think that's probably the biggest thing that you can do to exude Christ in your life around your children, is just to be an example of that. How do you make time for each other? It's tricky, man.
Whenever we can.
Whenever we can. It's definitely a struggle sometimes. His mom's great. She comes down often. They're from about 3 hours up north.
Yeah, I grew up in Wheeling, West Virginia. So for those who aren't familiar, how do we do it? Yeah. So this is the state of West Virginia, Eastern Panhandle, Northern Panhandle.
Definitely making that the thumbnail.
Wheeling is like kind of right up here. Yeah. We're about 45 minutes southwest of Pittsburgh.
So she comes down a lot, and she's really wonderful about offering to watch Sam so that we can go and have a date night together. Yeah. We love and cherish our evenings together. I think that's probably my biggest hesitation on having another child is because that's really our time.
On a daily basis, yeah, that's the only time we really get anymore is Samuel goes to bed we get him down at like 8 o'clock, 8:15, and then we have the rest of the evening for ourselves. And depending on what rotation I'm on that month, I'm either asleep by 10 o'clock on the couch, or I can stay up a little bit later and do okay. But
we love to just relax on the couch, rub each other's feet, watch TV.
Yeah, decompress a little bit.
It's just it's good quality time, even if we don't even talk to each other. It's just nice to be in the same room.
Yeah.
Holding hands, whatever, just like being together.
I think as far as though how do we get to spend time with each other, that's a very intentional thing that you have to make sure that you do. So other couples out there who have kids that are, looking for that, maybe, you asked what our favorite Starbucks drinks was, maybe skip out on 2 or 3 Starbucks drinks. You got enough money right there for a babysitter. Yeah. Skip out on a couple more. You've got enough money to go, get a quick dinner somewhere. And it's kind of what we go catch a flick. Like that's kind of what we do is we'll get a babysitter. Maybe my mom. Might be somebody else that we trust with Samuel, and it's pretty much just them watching the monitor while he's asleep, and we'll go out and we make sure our time's very intentional too. We
talk. We try not to be on our phones unless we're like looking at Sam's monitor. But I think like too, there's a lot around. I think that West Virginia gets a stigma of having nothing. But I think that if you care enough to look, you can find it.
Yeah, just key there is just making the effort.
Yeah, just to be intentional.
Yeah.
How do you help your spouse strengthen their relationship with God?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, we could do a better job.
I feel like if we struggle anywhere in our marriage, that's where we struggle the most.
It's hard.
It's really difficult.
When you're so busy, and he's obviously so busy, and so am I. Like I take care of Sam all day. I've got photos a lot of times in the evenings. And sometimes we really don't see each other except for right before we go to bed, or like when we are sitting on the couch in the evenings. And like I said, sometimes we're just so exhausted we don't even talk to one another. Yeah. It's just like time to be together. Yeah. And so that's something we've definitely struggled with throughout our engagement, our dating relationship, our marriage, was just like finding that time in the day to be intentional with our relationship together with the Lord.
And I think that's another great question. I feel like if there's any younger or newer couples out there watching this, I feel like if you've got the time to build those habits early in your relationship, do that, because we didn't necessarily take advantage of that the first year we were dating. First year we were dating, I was working at a small retail pharmacy as a farm tech. I wasn't even in medical school yet. And then when I ended up in medical school, like my time just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And now in residency, it's like, it's so hard to be able to try to build a habit that's that healthy.
But I think we are intentional about having conversations about, like if we do go to church or we watch church on TV, we talk about it. Yeah,
we like to get each other's opinions and thoughts about
we talk about it at dinner. We pray together. We, there have been situations where we've gotten into an argument or something has happened, and Eric will say, "Let's pray." Yeah. So we do. It is a part of our lives, our daily lives. Yeah. But we could do a better job of being more intentional as a couple.
Yeah. We're always working on it.
It's always something we're working on.
I feel like some of the best advice that I got when we were in premarital counseling was that the person that you get married to, the day that you get married, isn't always going to be the same person as you guys grow older. So it's going to be continuously something that we work on, literally for the rest of our lives. Because we're always going to need different sources of encouragement and different types of spiritual reflection, depending on where we are in our lives at the time. Like, we didn't have a kid when we first got married. Like, I wasn't a full-time resident when we first got married. Just things change. So we got to keep working on that. I think that's something that we both at least know that, and we've addressed that. And
advice for couples going into the second year of marriage. I'm going to start this one.
Go for it.
So I think we talk about this all the time. When we first got married, everyone told us the first year of marriage is the hardest. It's a huge adjustment. Just wait until they snore. Just wait until blah, blah, blah. I don't know. First of all, I think I would prefer if people were more encouraging in regards to the first year of marriage. Just marriage in general. It's the same thing with parenting. But marriage is a huge blessing. Oh, yeah. It's amazing. I mean, honestly, next to, like, marriage and parenting are up there with, like, 2 best experiences of my entire life. Eric is my best friend. He's the person I talk to about everything in my life, and we live together, and we are partners in this life, and it's pretty incredible. I think, for me, the first year was such a breeze because we were just in bliss. Yeah. We were living it up, man. Being married, loving each other, in bliss, pure bliss. And then the second year was a little bit harder.
Yeah.
I think the second year you kind of fall out of that bliss mode a little bit, the honeymoon phase, and you know, real life starts to set in. You have real life struggles. You have to pay your bills. You're with someone 24/7. You have to deal with what that's like. You know, the ideas of working and trying to get jobs, and are we going to have kids? When do you want to have kids? I don't know, I just feel like as you progress, things do get harder, but you just have to make the decision every day when you wake up that, like, I love this person, I want to be with this person, and I'm going to choose to be with this person today. Love is more of an action sometimes than it is a feeling.
So I think what Allie said was great advice. You know, your second year of marriage obviously is going to be much different from your first. Some people are still in their honeymoon phase in their second year of their marriage. Some people get out of their honeymoon phase the first month of their marriage. I mean, like you said it best.
Everyone's different.
Yeah, everyone's different. Every marriage is different. We got advice that was more grim and dim about what marriage would be like. And honestly, you know, if you're with the right person, you'll continuously enjoy them and the small moments with them. Like we mentioned earlier, we talked about, the question was asked about arguments and how conflict resolution works. You know, make sure you guys have a wonderful plan for that. You know, a way that you guys can deal with that type of stuff without deteriorating one another, because you're going to be together the rest of your life, and I think that's an important thing to have. For the second year of marriage too, it's just kind of like, the more you get to know somebody, you know, you're only married to them for a year, and maybe you dated for, I don't know what the average dating time is before marriage, but certainly, you know, we'll say less than 10 years. Like, you've been alive longer than you've known this person.
Yeah.
So you're continuously getting to know them closer and closer, and you'll notice imperfections and things. And you got to really look into yourself, and I think this is one of my favorite things about marriage, is it like really teaches you how selfish of an individual you can be. And you got to take a look at yourself and realize, all right, what am I willing to be okay with? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there destructive things that are going on in the marriage that need to be addressed and talked about? Or is it something like, man, you know, I don't like the fact that, you know, I barely have any space in the bathroom sink. Well, it's like, well, who cares? Like, do I need that much space in the bathroom sink? No. So it's not something that, like, we fight about or I care about.
Don't make mountains out of molehills.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, second year marriage, just continue to address each other's needs as you continue to change as individuals. I feel like it's the best thing I can tell you.
And just continue to enjoy it.
Yeah. Always continue to enjoy
it. Marriage is a blessing. The Lord gave it to us to be a blessing. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to remember that too.
Yeah.
Any advice for expecting parents? It's our first. Let me just let you know that you are in for the best experience of your entire life.
Yeah.
Being a mom has been an answer to prayer. I think. I think I've always known I wanted to be a mom, but I don't ever think I realized how spectacular it would be until it happened. I mean, you truly love that person more every single day.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's a very refining process, though.
Yeah.
Teaches you, like he said, you know, you never realize how selfish you are until you get married. You never truly realize how selfish you are until you become a parent.
Yeah.
You definitely don't have the time that you did before, the free time, the time for self-care.
Yeah.
Your world revolves around a tiny human, and it is hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the greatest responsibilities that God can give a person. We always laugh about this, but you know, you're in the hospital for that day or two after you give birth, and then you come home, and that's it. You know, you are 24/7.
Shell shock.
Yeah, you're 24/7. You are that individual's sole caretaker and person who's going to be looking out for them. You know, and it's a wonderful and I think beautiful reflection of the way that God looks after us.
Yeah.
And I think it's taught me a lot, certainly, since we've already been in it for a little over a year. Like you said, the selfishness aspect, but how
He loves us.
How He loves us, and I feel like to look to that, man, it's like He can do that for every individual, you know, who calls on Him, you know. And my little son, you know, I get home and he screams, "Daddy!" It's like, how can I not, you know, give everything I have to that young person? And but yeah, parenthood, truly a wonderful responsibility. I feel like it should be taken.
Best reflection of the Lord's love for us.
Yeah, best reflection of the Lord's love. I feel like it's a great societal responsibility. You are raising the next generation of people, and
sometimes you feel that way.
Yeah, sometimes you feel that way, like we said, with integrating Christ in our home and things like that.
And I will say too that I think, like, to whoever asked this question, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but if you're experiencing feelings of like, almost like mourning, I know that sounds like dark, but I feel like it's normal because I distinctly remember having in the first several weeks before, or the last few weeks of my pregnancy before Sam was coming, I remember just like the sadness of knowing that like Eric and I's time together was coming to an end with just the two of us. And so I always like people to know that if you feel that way, I think that's normal. Yeah, no, it's totally, it's such an interesting feeling. You're going to have advice from your meemaws, your pawpaws, you're going to have them from, you know, this person who lives right down the street, like your next door neighbor, your siblings, you know, and your pediatricians, like everyone's going to be giving you advice. You know, there's no super right way to parent. I think I think at best though what you should do is just kind of like what we've talked about, is make sure that you're selfless as far as when it comes to raising your child. Which is not always easy. It's not easy to do. It's so easy to say that. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get it wrong. Yeah, you will get it wrong. We've gotten it wrong plenty of times, and there's been plenty of times where, you know, I've come home and sit on the couch and pull my cell phone out, and then next thing I know, Sam's face is in the doggy bowl, and it's like, well, if I was just paying attention to him, that wouldn't have happened, you know. So it goes both ways. Yeah. So. But I think my biggest piece of advice for you for expecting your first child is enjoy and soak in every last moment that you can with your spouse before your baby comes, but to be excited. For the future, to know that what you're getting ready to experience is truly going to change you as a person, but for the better. Yeah, it's going to change you for the better. And at first, it's going to be really hard. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you, like, just wait until I don't sleep. No. Like, just know that it's not going to be easy, but it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Yeah. Like I said, it's a huge responsibility. You feel the weight of that responsibility, but gosh, the fruit that bears from it is it's incredible. The hardest part of every day and the best part of every day. It's so much fun watching them grow up. Yeah. And also sad watching them grow up because it's ridiculously fast, and you miss certain little segments of each age. Yeah. But man, it's awesome. It's going to continue to be awesome. Don't blink. Yeah. Don't blink. You hear it a lot, but it's true. Don't blink. All right. Well, that's everything. Thank you guys so much for asking all of these great questions. I feel like we had some good conversation. This was fun. Yeah. This was a nice little date for us. But so thank you guys again for just watching, for supporting this channel. So if you don't care, go ahead and click like on this video and subscribe to this channel, and we'll be coming out with lots more sit-down chats just like this one with Eric, with maybe some other people. So if you have any ideas for videos, please leave them down in the comments, or you can message me. Yeah, thanks again for watching. Bye guys. See ya.